Hello, everyone. I'm Sheldon Barlett Rumor, and this is it. Welcome back to This Is It TV. It is always a pleasure. We almost lost track of time catching up before we hit record. It is always a pleasure to chat with my dear friend. I'd love for him to reintroduce himself, his first and last name, and all he's up to.
Sheldon, I'm Louis Bezich, men's health advocate, contributing writer to phillyvoice.com, and the author of Saving Men from Themselves. A
Ah,
little hoarse
see,
today, but we're going to
it's
power through
okay. It's okay. We hear it. We hear it. He has been using that voice on overload over the last couple of weeks between the TED
it.
Talk and other speaking engagements, and then working so diligently to spread the message. So we understand that you might be a little hoarse today, and we appreciate it. I'll take it easy on
Thank
you.
you.
I'll take it
Thank you.
easy on you. What are we talking about today, Louis?
Today we're talking about signs of hope in the
Mm,
men's health space. Sheldon, I'm always on the lookout for new research or indicators, particularly those that influence, our cultural norms and such, for signs that we, move the needle in the right direction as it pertains to men's health. And just in the past week, came across a couple of sources that really triggered my interest.
yeah.
One was a New York Times column by Maureen Dowd talking about how in advertising today, of all places, there's this swarm of commercials and print ads around male bromance, right? You've
Mm,
got folks like Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson pitching Variety or Xfinity,
yes.
cable television. You've got Zach Braff and Don Faison, and once in a while John Travolta, pitching T-Mobile ads. And then you've got, of course, in the 50 plus range, you've got Al Pacino and Robert De Niro
Yeah.
pitching Montclair coats. So
Right.
for some reason, not Wall Street, Madison Avenue believes that this bromance among guys is a hot thing and something to work on. And so what's the connection to men's health? Well, in a world where loneliness has been declared a public health
Mm,
emergency, and the worst cohort are 50 plus men because our social skills aren't the best. Anything that enforces or encourages social connections and social engagement, I think is a big deal and can lead to other things. Particularly when you think about the fact that, and we've talked about this many
yeah,
times,
for
that
sure.
depression, anxiety, suicide is so huge among men of all ages that any, hint that, the cultural norms are shifting and reinforcing bromance and social relationships, I think is a good thing.
I think
And
so
then,
too.
the other one was,
Yeah.
and we chatted about this.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a separate discussion about this because it's so deep. And that's the new book out by Scott Galloway, Notes on Being a Man. And
Yes.
in there, I'll just tease it by saying one of the recommendations that Galloway makes is that older men need to be role models, right?
Mm,
And can play a huge role in the crisis he describes of
sure.
young men, that we can serve a really important purpose in being a role model. And of course, I would advocate as a men's health person that one way we can be a role model is to live a healthy lifestyle. So we don't convey this, neglect of our health over generations. So a
Mm.
lot going on. It's a long explanation. Thanks for the time.
No, but
But
it's
it's,
so
it's a sign that maybe the cultural winds are shifting, and that's so important to the conversation.
I think so too. And I think that the underlying, at least for me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or missing something, but I do believe that the underlying notion is this representation, right? Of seeing friendships, seeing two grown men getting along, right? Beyond, their work relationships, recreationally hanging out, not only going to games, but working out together, shopping together, meeting for a meal, really focusing on that relationship. And then obviously recognizing through Scott Galloway's book, what damage has been done, let's say, and how the representation or the example of strong, healthy men within the lives of young boys and young men can really help move the dial to a healthier lifestyle amongst us all. I think we talked a little also about male teachers, in the recruitment of within education, within nursing, within what typically leans towards more of a female dominated industry. How can we incorporate men into it? And as we really elevate women as well in other industries, how do we really take an overacting role to make sure that there's representation in the softer places, in the healthier places for the men we love?
Yeah, and it comes down, in my judgment, Sheldon, to one word, and that is masculinity.
Mm,
These advertising and what
yeah,
Galloway's book does is say we need to, and which we've talked about many times, which
sure,
is
sure,
central to my advocacy,
sure.
but we need to rethink masculinity. That's
Yeah,
what's holding so many men back. That's what
yeah,
causes so many men to say, I don't want to see a doctor. I
right,
don't need to see a doctor, and
right,
so on and so forth. And
right.
then to convey that to the next generation of young men, that's
Sure.
got to change. And I believe, and this is the importance of these advertising in the book is that it's a small step in that direction to rethink masculinity, to show that it's good to have a social relationship because that can then carry over to a gym buddy or
Yeah.
somebody who helps you stay focused and accountable on your healthy behaviors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We had talked about in previous episodes or segments about the disproportionate amount of suicide amongst men in that way. So even that redefining masculinity also comes with mental health, right? And what does that
Absolutely.
mean to kind of have those mature conversations about what you're feeling, right? It's not necessarily how heavy something is that you can lift, but mentally, what are you lifting and what does that really look like? Do you agree with that as well?
Oh, absolutely. Mental health is a critical factor. And again, traditional views of masculinity would say, oh my goodness, if we're apprehensive, if we think going to the doctor for an annual physical is a sign of weakness, then acknowledging that you have a mental health issue, that's even weaker, so
Right.
to speak. And that's ridiculous, of course. And that's why, to me, any cultural shift, any sign that we're stepping back, we're rethinking those traditional norms and saying, hey, look, not only are they changing, but again, to Galloway's call to action upon men,
Sure.
older men, we need to do something about it. We need to have dialogue. We need to have conversation and really put it out there so that we can ultimately change that view of masculinity.
Agreed, agreed. I think I applaud, Scott, from acknowledging this situation. It could easily been something that has been continuously swept under the rug, something that we don't really think about it. The guys will be okay. But we are seeing, not only increased violence, depression, there's just all these different kinds of things that are a result of possibly just not having somebody to call, just like the buddies that we see in these commercials, not having the shoulder to lean on. It always manifests itself in maybe dangerous ways or things that aren't as favorable. But it sounds like being able to lean into these things, acknowledging it, and then coming up with a plan. So let's talk about a little bit about that. Is the plan, connecting more with your friends? Is the plan, the external support system? Is your plan, going obviously and seeing your doctor? What do you think the next step if someone's kind of in this space where this could be beneficial? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's obviously for older guys, it's lead by example, right?
Yeah,
And it's all of the above when it comes to your list there. It starts with recognizing that men, particularly older men, have the power to
yeah,
influence younger men, right?
yeah,
We think about ourselves, leading a healthy lifestyle is so difficult about me, me, me.
sure.
Brothers, there are
Yes,
others out there that need
yes,
your help, that need your wisdom, that believe it or not, look up to you and value your opinion.
yeah,
So it's recognizing that and starting those conversations. I mean, I think the greatest thing about the Dowd article and the book are that they're conversation starters.
sure,
They're going to
sure.
prompt that public and private dialogue that is so crucial to moving the needle. So that's
Yeah,
so important. And then, back to your list, I mean, the basics. If you haven't seen a doctor in a while, get on a cycle of an annual physical at best.
sure,
Get the blood work done, get all the basics done. Yes, look at ways to be physically active, whether it's cardiovascular, whether it's weight training, and then a healthy diet. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do,
sure.
but the context is so important. The context is one of social values, of recognizing that it's the end game here. We've talked about this a lot. The end game in all the
Sure.
men that I've studied is a social agenda, whether it be your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, your friends. enhancing those relationships is what it's about. If you're healthy and you're happy, then everything will fall into place.
If you're healthy and you're happy, everything will fall into place. I absolutely love this. You always, always give us the information that we need in order to move forward in a productive way, especially for the gentlemen and the men that we love within our lives. I want them to get in touch with you about the new book and all that you've got going on. Where do they find that information?
You can find everything about my world of men's health at on social media at Louis Bezich, and of course my website louisbezich.com will give you all the insight into what's going on in my world.
I love it. I love it. Do not hesitate. Get in touch with my dear friend. I promise you will not be disappointed. From all of us here at This Is It TV, I'm Sheldon Barlett Rumor, and we will see you soon. Take care.